All right, M3 family, let's do this. A worthy ideal came from one of the coolest quotes that I ever heard. It's Earl Nightingale. He said the success, it's part of the success quote. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It's a little heady. It's a lot of words, big words there. What it really means is success means that you're moving towards something and you're realizing that you're moving towards something every day that you want. And that's where this lesson gets its name from. It's lesson number one in our big coaching, and in M3, we also follow the modules too. So a worthy ideal. We're going to learn how to set a goal. We're not just going to learn how to set a goal. We're going to learn how to set the right goal for ourselves with the right energy so that that goal can't fail. As long as you're working with universal law the way that we do and the way that we teach you to, it's going to happen for you every time. It's not a matter of luck or chance. It's a matter of science. You can say it's the science of achieving goals, is that we're putting out a particular energy and we're learning to condition ourselves a certain way. We're working with high energy so that that fuels us to move forward. We're using all these tools, and that just gets us to continue to take action toward what we want and take action toward what we want. And then we're able to focus on the corrective nature of those actions. So we get better and better and better. And that's how we make it all the way to the goal. And it's not all the way. I want people to understand that your goal is not something that's really far away from you. It's really far away from you if you say it's really far away from you. And your goal is just a vibration away. Vibration is just a feeling. And we know this to be true because I ask the question often of people when they say, well, just had somebody recently say, I want to achieve 10 properties in 10 years. That was their goal. And I said, well, why would you want to do it in 10 years? And they said, well, because that's realistic. That's what I can do. And I said, well, yeah, that's realistic, but realistic for who? For whom? And he says, well, everybody, whatever. I said, is that true? I says, okay, well, what if I took Donald Trump out of his body, stuck him in your body? Would that be a realistic goal for him? And of course they go, no, like he would do that in a second. He would do that in under a year. Okay, well, then that doesn't have to be, you set your goal based on what you think you can get. You need to set your goal based on what you really, really want. And that vibration, that feeling I'm talking about, when you take somebody like any real estate mogul that you want to use, you don't have to use Donald Trump. You can use anybody, but they're just holding a different feeling about themselves and what they can do. And then you realize that your goal is only a vibration away. You need to find what that vibration is and learn to feel it. That's the key. It's not miles away. It's not years away. It's not anything away. It's just a vibration away. Let's talk about the ignorant side of things, where people are going, they don't know. They're just going through day-to-day life. They're trying to get through the workday. They're trying to get through the work week so they can get to a weekend, whatever. What's the purpose of a goal? And the question is, are you running from what you don't want or toward what you do want? That's a legitimate question. And I can guarantee that if a person is not setting a goal for themselves, they're running from what they don't want. And you can never escape that because you're constantly emotionalizing something. You're feeling it as though it's real. And then you're putting energy into that, and that thing's going to continue to chase you for your life. This is why people have so many coping mechanisms, like I just have to get away from my life. I just have to get away from my life. They don't realize that they're the ones that's building it because they haven't set a goal. They're just being fearful of all the crap. The news can give you a goal, you know what I mean? They tell you what to be fearful of, and then you put all that energy into it. That's your goal, trying to get away from that thing, but you're thinking about it constantly and you're feeling it. Not good. So what's the purpose of a goal? It's to grow in awareness. It's whatever you're wanting to achieve in your life, the thing that you put in front of you, it's to grow your awareness for that thing. If it's money, if it's $1 million, just because we think $1 million is $1 million, well, $1 million is, it's different to everybody. Consciousness is the only reality. So if you stack people around the table with $1 million in the middle of it, you put different characters on the table. If you put multimillionaires on one side of the table and homeless people on the other side of the table, and maybe people close in your circle, like your family or whoever raised you on the table, you know that everybody's going to have a different feeling toward that $1 million. And when you spin around to the side of the table, that the multimillionaires, their thoughts on it is going to be something along the lines of that they know that they can turn that $1 million into $5 million in a short amount of time, or $10 million in a short amount of time. And that therefore, this is the attractive state of money that people have to get their head wrapped around. Therefore, the money actually in front of them, the $1 million, it doesn't mean that much. It's not that big of a deal. They don't even need it. You know, they know that they can go get it somewhere else, or they can start with some other thing that the other people on the table, like your inner circle or the homeless person, would never even think to do. They don't even have the awareness of how to go out there and grab money quickly and then start doubling it and tripling it and making those things happen, creating passive income. If that's something that you want to do, we have to look at it from a point of awareness. Whatever you know how to do, and then you springboard it way up there to something that you really want that you don't know how to do, all you're doing in that process with your goal is growing into the person who can do that. And it's really cool because achieving the physical thing that you're manifesting in the world, it's not even about that. Why? Because you became the person who can do that. So if I take the thing away, like I said, if I just remove the $1 million from the multimillionaires on the side of the table, it's no big deal. They don't need it. They can go do it again and again and again. Now, if you give a man a fish, you haven't saved him, because who's going to give him a fish tomorrow? And we're dealing with a lot of this stuff in the world today in the form of homelessness, especially in our state, California. The key is not to give the man a fish, but to teach the man how to fish, teach them how to become that thing. So the goal is not to get, but the getting is fun. We do deserve to enjoy it, and it's all part of the process. That's success. That's happy, joy, love, peace, is when we realize, again, the progressive realization that we're getting it. It's a lot of fun. Why do we want to get these things? Because we want to share them with our friends. You know, we want to share them with our family. We want to share in the experiences that they're going to provide. And we should enjoy those things. We were meant to enjoy those things, but it was never about that in the first place. So life has purpose, again, with a goal. If you don't have a goal or something that you're working toward throughout the day, your default goal is just to get through the day most of the time. People don't accidentally wind up in the space that they were created for. That's a conscious thing, especially in this world. We have so many things as soon as we start to become aware as kids that are directing us. Okay, you got to go to school, you got to get married, here's the rules, you know, we don't realize, but we're just taking all that stuff in. And all of a sudden, all these goals have been set for us based on ideals and beliefs that society has and your family has. So it's it would be a shot in, you know, infinite, I guess, that somebody would actually be pursuing something that was their passion. That's very rare. And I can tell you why it's rare too, is because when we see somebody out there in the world that's really succeeding in something they're passionate at, we put a lot of attention on it. We're like, that's amazing. Look what that person's doing. We make a big deal out of it. But those people are no different than us. We, each and every one of us, could be doing that. But we first must get rid of all that programming. We must just like push it to the side and dig down to the point of, what do I really want to do? You don't need to know how to do it. Just what do you really, really want? And when you can put that thing in front of you, then your goal by default is not, you know, since everybody else has set this goal for you, is not just to be getting through the day. Getting through the day as a default goal is that you're hurrying your way through the day, and you're hurrying your way through the day. You're doing the bare minimum. You're just trying to get back to bed at night or whatever you're trying to do. Getting to the point where you come to home and you can escape again. Maybe it's a few drinks or whatever behavior people have. They never ask the question, what am I hurrying my way to? You're hurrying your way to your grave is what you're doing. You don't know how much time you have left. You might have 1 week left. You know, none of us know. We don't know what's in the upper part of the hourglass. We never stop to ask those significant questions. If I were to die tomorrow, you know, would I be happy with the way that I've been spending my time? And if it's punching the clock for some corporation that I can't stand, doing a job every day that I can't stand, I think the answer is no. I'm not going to be happy with that. You're in a rut, and a rut is just a grave with the ends kicked out. That's all. So if you know how to do it, this is important, because we've been shamed into believing that, you know, you reach 13, 14, 15, you start talking about something that you're wanting to do. And at that point, the conversation can change with family. If you know how to do it, then it's the wrong goal for you. But we think because we couldn't answer those questions when Uncle so-and-so would ask you like, all right, smart guy, how are you going to do that? And you got really embarrassed and ashamed that you didn't know how to do that. So we don't set goals that we don't know how to do. We say things, we start to try to say things that are in harmony, like, okay, I'll do this thing, that you agree that I can do, whoever's around me. That's the wrong goal. Why is it the wrong goal? If you know how to do it, because there's no inspiration in that. You're not really loving that thing. And love is the energy that's going to fuel you to move forward. No matter what goal you set in life, even going to the grocery store, there's going to be different things that happen here, there, and they're going to set up speed bumps, roadblocks for you. If you're not in love with that thing, there's a big chance you're going to give up. You say, oh, the hell with it. I don't want it. I didn't want it that much. And the only goals that we're in love with is the stuff that we don't know how to do. I mean, that's beyond our reach. That's experiences that we've never had before, but we can only imagine what it's like to have that. Well, if you're in love with something, teenagers in love, I use this as an example. Some people call it infatuation, but so what? The energy is so high at that point, is that they will always take the phone call. They will skip sleep. They will skip meals just to make the meeting, just to be in that person's presence, just to do it, because they're fueled by love. It's just this high energy vibration that's running through them. They don't need sleep. They don't need any of that because they've set the right goal for themselves without even knowing. If you know how to do the goal, there's not going to be any growth associated with it. We have 3 types of goals that we talk about in Proctor Gallagher Consulting and coaching. A-type goals is what you know how to do. We already said that. We said that's a shopping list. That's what you absolutely know how to do. And most of the world lives there, doing things all day long that they know how to do. Guess what that gets you? That gets you what you've always got. So nothing's ever changing. And those are the people that say life is, it's boring, That's right. It's boring because you're doing what you know how to do and you're getting what you know how to get over and over and over again. Now, if people make a stretch, they'll go to a B-type goal, and that's what you think you can do. And that's about putting things in place and people in place and if I shift some money or whatever, but you still don't know how to do all that stuff. You're confident that you know how to do that. This is where people will run into friction from those in their circle going, you're going to do what? You're going to do what? And already they're getting resistance. Well, the thing with the B goal is that you're not that in love with it. And any resistance that you meet, we already said that, you're going to meet resistance with your goals. It's going to stop you. So because you don't want it. You don't want it that much. It's a B-type goal. So here we don't mess around with either one of those. I like to tell people that A-type goals and B-type goals, they just show up automatically, smart goals, as we would call those things, whatever. They're going to come in the form of inspiration. You're going to do that. But why are you going to do that? That's the question. Why? Because the big thing behind it is the C-type goal. That's the only thing that we do here at Proctor Gallagher. That's your wants. What do you really want? Your type C goals are going to come from the effective use of your imagination, things we call fantasies. And, we don't do that much anymore because as we get older, we get taught that, fantasy is just for kids. No, it's not. You're using your fantasy all the time as an adult. You're just using it in reverse gear. Now your fantasy is starting to build out thoughts and scenarios of all the things that you don't want. As soon as something comes up in your life, like it's a speed bump or a roadblock, people just start going, oh my gosh, if I can't have this thing happen, then this thing's going to happen and I'm not going to be able to handle that. And oh my gosh, that's going to feel horrible. And these people are going to do that. And this thing's going to happen this way. And this is going to happen to me financially. Oh my gosh, I don't want that. And they become completely emotionalized. They do it very well, but they're just doing it negatively. Why? Why do we do that? That's what we're here to solve it. Thinking into results and M3. We do that because that was taught to us and that became our habit. We did it long enough so it became a habit for us. So that feels like the natural thing to do, even though we can't stand it. Now we're switching it. We're setting our type C goal for what we really, really, really want. If I can encourage you to do anything in this recording, It's really open up your heart and mind to what you really, really want. And every time the question comes to your mind about how you're going to get it, just let it go and just keep asking yourself, what do you really want to do? I'm still discovering stuff about myself today. As a kid, it was very easy for me to see great things in people. It just was a natural state for me. And so, in order for me to set my type C goal is to be the greatest coach Bob Proctor's ever seen. I don't know how to do that, but I know that by going through this process as I have, it's dug down and it's dug down. And this is what I'm encouraging you to do is find that. Go back to when you were a kid. What were you good at? What were you in love with? Why were you in love with that? And then give yourself that permission to really set that goal from there. What's your gifts? What's your unique stuff? That's what we're here to express is our unique spirit. There's not going to be anybody that's going to express your spirit the way that you do because it's your spirit. So analysis of several hundred successful people disclose the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly. Decision is a big deal. Oh my gosh, it's a big deal. And we think that, people make decisions that are successful painstakingly. It turns out that they don't. Napoleon Hill studied these people like a scientist, and this is the conclusion that he reached. Analysis of several hundred successful people disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly if and when they were changed. People who fail, those we would call unsuccessful, without exception, he said, they have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly and of changing these decisions quickly and often. That's straight from Napoleon Hill and what he discovered that. Why does it work out that way? Well, because what we do here is we teach that you become emotional with your goal down to the point of the subconscious. You're feeling it all the time so that when something crosses your path, you know right away if that thing matches up with your goal or not. If you're not clear about your goal, which is unsuccessful people are not, they don't get to know their goal, they don't think that it's possible for them, or they don't set it, they can't choose if that thing's in front of them is good, bad, indifferent, whatever. They don't even know. And so they're just brooding on it like, oh, how do I make this decision? And they're slow. They procrastinate, say, I'll make that decision later. And then when they do make their decision, they're constantly second guessing it because they don't have the feeling built inside of themselves, what we do here with thinking into results. And I want to talk a little bit more about decision on a bigger level. So decision, none of us remembers going to decision school. Nobody ever stopped and said, hey, this is how you really make a decision. And Napoleon Hill, you read the book, he'll tell you how to make it. You need to learn how to make the decisions quickly and then take action on them quickly too. But that's all going to come from that you have something in front of you that you want. That's part of the decision process. But because we're never taught how to make decisions, we default learn by those around us, which is, 96% of all of the wealth in the world is held by 1% of the population. And of that 1%, most of them don't even know what they're doing. They're applying these laws unconsciously, so they can't even articulate it or share it. So even amongst the 1% that's holding all the wealth, they can't share how to do this stuff. They don't know what it is. It's very few people that understand what this is. So even they're teaching decision in this way. They think that, the default way of making a decision that we learn is to weigh the options. But let's look a little deeper into weighing the options. Let's look at all these lines on this screen as frequencies or options. And when we set a goal, we want to go down to the simple right now. Like if the goal is to get out of the room right now, then we go, well, what are all the ways that I can accomplish that? And most people locked up in paradigm and everything, they go, well, I can just walk out of the room. It's like one way. It's like, really? Is there one way? Well, what if you wanted to walk backwards? Oh, okay, you got me there. There's two. No, I want to go for infinite. What if you did 3 push-ups and then walked backwards? What if you did 3 push-ups, walked half of it backwards and then forward? What if you did 4 trips around the room and then you left the room? You realize that the truth of the matter is between here, there, and everywhere, the possibilities are infinite. So weighing the options right then and there. Oh, that doesn't sound like you're going to be there for eternity, weighing infinite. That's a bad way. And we're all taught how to make decision this way by default. It doesn't work. It's crazy. The frequencies are infinite. Therefore, your options are infinite. So this is the way people make a decision. You're down here. You think, act, and operate down here on a vibration that gets certain results to show up in your life. It conditions you that that's who you are. And that's the way that it goes. You have thoughts on that level. You experience results on that level. And day after day, year after year, that's you. You're vibrating on that level. Now, when you say, I want to do something big, and that goal is way up here, that goal is just on another frequency. As I said earlier, somebody else inhabiting your body, and the world doesn't know who they are, but they're really successful at something that you want to do, will they be able to take your body, your current circumstances, and do it? Yeah, it's because they operate on a different frequency. They operate on a different vibration. Your goal is just a vibration away. But because we don't know how to make a decision, we say, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to that goal when the things I need for that goal show up, when the money shows up, when the time shows up, when the kids, are out of the house. Bob says it so clearly. He's asking somebody to buy a house. He says, do you want to buy a house? And they go, yeah, I really want to buy a house, but I don't have the money. He says, you don't need the money because you haven't made the decision to buy the house. And the people are just looking at him blankly. But there's so much genius in that right there. When you say that you're going to do it based on the stuff showing up, in order for you to make the decision to do it, the stuff is never going to show up. You haven't told yourself that this thing I'm doing no matter what. You haven't programmed yourself to see the things in your life that are going to make that possible. So maybe the money does show up, but because you haven't made the decision to do it, you just send that money back down your same default road. The decision to do it is, that's it. I'm doing it no matter what. That's the only way that you can make the decision. But this weighing the option stuff doesn't work. I'm going to go get this vibration is what we're saying. When, what happened to it? There it is. I'm going to go get this vibration. I'm going to go experience this thing when, get my keys right, the things show up. And because you can't see it, you haven't made the decision the right way. The things never show up. And after time, what happens is your dream and your goal just fades away. The greatest way to make a decision, and you got to think of it as a frequency, is if you're calling somebody on a cell phone, you don't expect to get any other cell phone when you dial that number. We know that it works that way, other than the number that's associated with that person, that thing, that cell phone. Now, that might not be them on the end of it. I used to say that, but not saying that anymore. When you dial a particular cell phone number, it's going to ring that. And this is the way for dialing your goal. You make the decision that I'm doing it no matter what. You change it. Am I doing this? To I am doing this. You're going to see my dead body either on the side of the mountain, or you're going to see my happy body waving at the top of it. But that's the decision. I'm doing it no matter what, and I'm going to do it for as long as it takes. I'm going to do it for is whatever it is that it takes for me to get to this thing. And it sounds so extreme, oh my gosh, these coaches, they're just so extreme with what they produce. But it's not extreme when you look at it from the point of view that you're trading your life right now for whatever results you're getting. And are you happy with those results? That's the question. And if the answer is no, you're still trading your life for it. You're still going to find your dead body somewhere, because nobody gets out of here alive. So that's it. That's what dials the goal on the frequency. Then we begin to take that goal in and we begin to feel it. Feeling is just another word that we invented to describe the vibration, or a better way to put it is the frequencies that we're in harmony with. And that's the only way that the how, the money, the resources and everything is going to show up for you. So why do we reject the C goal? Well, beliefs, old programming, people say we don't do that. We've been told that over and over and over again through constant spaced repetition. We just don't do it. It's not possible for us. Our family doesn't go to school, or our family doesn't produce doctors, or our family doesn't produce multi-millionaires, or maybe billionaire, whatever your goal may be. We just accept that stuff, those old beliefs. If that stuff's not true for everybody, if it's not a universal truth, we don't work with it here in the coaching. We work with cause and effect. We work with action, reaction. We work with vibration. We work with frequencies, and all those things follow definite patterns. We know how that they work. If you do one thing, you're going to get another thing. You do one thing, you're going to get another thing. That's the only level that we work with. We don't work with the level of opinion. No, we don't do that. Then no, just reject it. And because it's originated through our fantasy, a lot of times, like I said, fantasizing about being a fireman or Superman or whatever, that stuff's just for kids. So you got to grow up. You got to stop doing that. We get chastised for, oh, he's a dreamer. They don't say it positively. They say he's a dreamer. It's always out there doing goofy things. Oh, I don't want to be the person out there doing goofy things. That's just for kids. I'm going to grow up. I'm going to show them grow up. I'm going to get a job I hate and pay a bunch of bills I don't want to pay. We were punished as kids for letting our minds wander and fantasize in school. Those are some big emotional impact moments. We all have had those moments when the teacher yells at you and you don't know what's going on, is asking you to answer a question you should have been paying attention. So we just constantly, what we end up doing is we stop fantasizing more and more and more in a direction that way. I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna tune into my senses. Is what that really is about. You're not gonna achieve your goal from your senses, by the way. So you will, or your answer will not show up from your thinking mind. Your answer is not going to show up from your analytical mind. Your answers are going to be received by your thinking mind. That's how it's going to come. Your answers get generated through your higher faculty. It's imagination, and being able to feel that goal achieved already is when you wake up tomorrow and you all of a sudden have this inspiration to do something, or you're talking to somebody that you've talked to 100 times before, and all of a sudden you realize they are the answer for what you need, because you've changed you. You've used your imagination enough times to feel your goal achieved that thing all of a sudden, it was right there. And it is, your goal is right around you all the time. Where was the way to fly? I asked people before the Wright brothers discovered it. It was here all the time. All the information that you need is equally present, everywhere all the time. It's just here. It's really just about bringing your awareness to it. What it feels like to have it already is that's the key. So first, do you want to do this? Really want it? Not kinda. When you're setting your goal, this is what we're doing right now. We're going to go through all 12 modules. Do you really want to do this? Not kinda, or this is what I'm supposed to do, or say, let that stuff go. Am I able? That's the question you're going to answer. Yes, you're able, because you're infinite. You're infinitely capable. We don't have much reference to go to here on Earth as to what we're really able to do. It's science and religion, or theology as we call it. And both of those come to the same conclusion, that humans are infinitely capable. They have no idea what we're actually capable of. So that one's an easy yes. You just need to know that about you. You're able to do anything. The emotional involvement comes when you answer the second question, which is, am I willing? Am I willing to do what it takes? And you have to just default say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, aside from hurting other people and things of that nature. And of course, it doesn't even matter if you made that decision, because we've seen plenty of people go out there like Hitler and decide that, I'm even willing to hurt other people. That it just doesn't matter. It's universal law. When you've made the decision that you're willing to do whatever it takes, you just don't want to get to be into that vibration of taking from others, because that becomes an unhappy state. You must become that evil thing or that bad thing. That's why we scoop those things off the table. We're not going to unjustly take from other people, and we're not going to do things that are going to put us in a bad space. So we take that off and we say, aside from those things, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to step into situation after situation, not knowing how it's going to go, and just treat it as a learning situation. I'm going to take that information. I'm willing to take my time and feel my goal achieved every day. And most important times you're going to do that too is before bed, and then waking up in the morning. And then the third thing is just decide to do it. Decide literally is the root word is I'm cutting off from all other options. I'm killing all other options. That's the side part, killing from, decision means to incision. We know what that means. It means to cut off. And then the day means from, cut off from everything else. You're going toward the thing. So relax and permit your mind to fantasize about what you want. If you could not fail, what would you choose to do? Just answer that for yourself. If I knew that I couldn't fail, what would I choose to do? If all my resources was at my disposal, what would I do? And they are at your disposal. You're just not aware that they are. So you need to realize that they are. But what would you really do? What kind of life do you really want to live? In relationships, money, business, all of it. Ask yourself that question. Allow your mind to release into the fantasy state. Go all Walt Disney on this stuff. Choose one item that is most important for you. Which item on the list that you've generated do you want to do the most? And understand that a lot of times goals get achieved, the side goals get achieved along the way, or you become aware of how to do those things. But just pick one. And why are we doing that? We're doing that because we don't want to shove a bunch of crap in the funnel because nothing comes out the bottom when we do that. We know that. We just become too frustrated when we've got too much goals and too much change happening in our life. It's too uncomfortable. We have to learn to take the uncomfort in bite-sized chunks. So we just choose one. Choose the one that is most important to you. To answer this question, which item would you be most saddened to know that you left this world without doing? If all of a sudden you found out that today was your last day, which thing would you look back in life and go, oh man, I'm like, dang, I can't believe I got to leave here and I didn't do that. That's the one. That's the one that matters most to you. So choose it, put it up front and center and get going on it now. Which item excites you the most? Don't let people or circumstances decide for you. And I promise you that they're going to show up. They're not going to show up as some stranger on the street. They're going to show up right in your inner circle because you built your inner circle from the person that you are now. And as you start to change that person, the people around you start going, hey, what the hell's going on here? What are you doing? They're going to be the first people to say, come back to normal because that's who I know you to be. Don't let them decide for you. Think of it along these lines. What if I told you about your cell phone 20 years ago? We would have a cell phone that it was a stronger computer than the computer in the first rocket to the moon. It can send pictures. It could, we're going to carry this thing. Everybody's going to have one. If you were telling this story 20 years ago, people will go, man, you got to lock this guy up. He's crazy. But here it is. The awareness to do that back then too, 20 years ago was here. All the material to do that was here. It's just somebody had not brought that into them. So see those things. Same thing with flying. The Wright brothers told that they were silly for wanting to do that. But look, we can walk outside and I can see an airplane at any given time. They changed our life. It doesn't, your goal cannot be too far out there. It's just really got to be something that you want, a desire that's coming up in you. Remember that nothing is created or destroyed. Everything you need is here. You only lack the awareness. Where's it going to come from? All your resources, everything that you need to do this, wherever it is right now. Where's the awareness going to come from? Where's the know-how? Wherever it is right now, you're going to attract it to you. So think about this. The first model is, it's better if I show this one like I did earlier, but that's okay. You get the idea. Just look at the top model. When you put yourself in that position that if you're failing in life, that you're further from success, by the way, that was programming that was just handed to you. You're afraid to fail. You're afraid to go out there and what is failure, by the way? Look at it for what it is. It just means you're getting a result that you thought you didn't want. It doesn't mean it was the result that you didn't need. That's what failure is. It's showing up right there is to tell you this is the thing that you need to focus on right now on getting better at. And when you get better at that, you're going to be so much closer to your goal or you're going to get your goal. But when we start putting this programming in place, which is what mom and dad kind of teaches us, which our inner circle, most people teaches us that you don't want to be going out there and failing in the world because that's going to take you further from success. What if you took all your retirement and put it all in on your big goal and then your big goal didn't pan out? Now you don't have all that retirement. Now you're going to be a homeless person or something. I don't know, some kind of something that makes you afraid of failure. That's not what it's about. We have to change this and understand that you came into the world understanding what failure really was. It was just feedback. You didn't get your goal, and it was feedback showing you why you didn't get your goal and what you really need to face, in front of you. We just started working on saying your name. You really messed it up, but before long, you started to get the idea of how to make the sounds. You started to try to get up and walk. You fell down, and you got feedback, and that feedback told you need to do this thing a little bit better. You need to do this thing a little bit better. But it was only through the process of failure. The bottom middle, I guess you say, line that you see there is the truth. That's what you really need to look at your goal as. You are going to fail your way there and fall in love with the failure. And when you check off all the boxes of ways of not to do this, you'll have run out. You will have become the person who has mastered how to do your goal. That's how you're going to get to success. Don't be afraid of failure. Also, people think that if you put all your chips in the middle of the table and you go for it and you fail, well, it's comforting to know that you are the person who has produced your life as it exists right now. It's very easy for people to go out and produce that again. And I've done that, in my life, where I stopped. I'm in my 40s and I said, I'm going to go do this thing. And then I came back and I said, well, wait a minute, I need to get life back on track and how I know it, how to do. I easily reproduced my old life very easily because it's already programmed in you. So when you think that you're going to be, it's the end all be all, it's the end of your world if you put all your chips in the middle of the table, it's not true. You've already programmed yourself to achieve a certain level of success. That might be $80,000, $100,000 for you, 50,000, whatever it may be. You're going to get back to that, no problem, because that's your autopilot for you. So don't think of it in terms that if I put all my chips in the middle, that, oh my gosh, the worst thing in the world is going to happen for me. By the way, that's just a vibration you're setting up too. So you don't want to set that vibration up. You always want to be setting your vibration up. So it's the success. I'm doing this because of the success. I couldn't do it anyways without putting all my chips, in the middle. You can't get to second base by keeping your foot on first. We know that. You've just got to go. You've got to commit. You knew how to do it when you were little. All you did was forget. So write your goal in a statement and carry it with you. Write it in a goal card, we call it. It might be a 3x5 card or something smaller than you, but you carry it. And you do this for a purpose because you're putting an emotion behind that, putting that love for that thing behind that. It's causing you to think about it, and think about it in terms of a birthday card. You've seen people before keep cards from loved ones that they had. It's just a piece of paper and it's got some ink in it and somebody wrote something in it. If we think that our goal is not that big of a deal when we write it down, what's the big deal? Why do I want to write it down? Well, think about it in terms of that birthday card or that, holiday card. If you took that card from somebody and said, well, I'm just going to burn it right now, they would say, no, don't do that, because there's power in that. There's emotion, there's feeling in that stuff. And that same thing exists in the form of your goal card. So when you carry your goal card with you all day long, you don't even have to pull it out and read it. You should pull it out and read it whenever you have free time, and feel it, understand it, put more energy into the thing. But if you're just talking to somebody or a situation is not really going in any directions you want, you can just stick your hand in your pocket and you can feel the energy of that goal card. It'll remind you. It'll break that goal flash on the screen of your head again. That's where we want to get this thing too. The more we're bringing you back to that space, the more you're thinking about that, and you're not thinking about things you don't want. Just replaces it. That's the key behind the goal card. So I'm so happy and grateful now that, and then feel in, you're saying it from now. Subconscious is where you're going to solve this thing from. Subconscious has no clue what yesterday is or what tomorrow is. It only knows right now. So we write our goal card, we write our goal statement from now. That's why we do that. If I say I will be this thing, the subconscious says, cool, man. I don't know what that is. I'm not that right now is what you're saying. So subconscious doesn't need to seek anything. It doesn't need to know anything. But when you tell subconscious, I am this, that's when it begins to say, oh, I am this. Well, then this is me. And then this is me. That's the point behind it. At least read your goal card twice a day out loud. Read it to yourself. Feel the joy of your goal accomplished. Napoleon Hill did this, and what he's a big proponent of is actually standing in front of the mirror and reading it to yourself and looking at yourself in the eye. Just saying your goal, because it does get to be memorized, and just say it and feel it and look at yourself. Feel the joy of your goal accomplished. Think about the things that happened for you now that you've achieved this goal. What do you get to experience? And think about being that person now. You are that person now. When you get to your goal, you're still going to be wearing the same meat suit, you know? You're going to still have a lot of the same traits and everything. It's not like you're going to be a completely different person. You have to understand that you're already that person. This is the you that's going to be there experiencing those things. What does that you do? Feel it now. There's the power in it. There's the quote that we started this with. Best quote for success that I've ever experienced in my life. I challenge anybody to throw one at me that beats this. And I've looked, but I'm always open. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is realizing that you're getting somewhere that you want to go, that you really want to go. Greatest definition of success that I have ever read, by Earl Nightingale. Steve Bowe said this one, another powerful quote. God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. And our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. Napoleon said, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. And we'll get deeper into that as we go further into the lessons. But the word there, the key word is effort. If you're tapping into low energy, you know, things that you don't want to do, that, you know, anger, hate, whatever, you know, you just don't want it, then it's really hard to do it. Your effort has to be really high because you're dealing with low energy, low vibrational energy. So when you're tapping into something that you love, that's why it's not a lot of effort on your part, because you're constantly becoming in love with that thing still, you know, making a point. It's a relationship that you have with your goal, but you've set a goal that you're in love with. So now this love energy is flowing through you again, like the teenager, you know. That's why people say, well, gosh, he worked tirelessly, you know, to this thing. Yeah, he did, because he was in love with it. He was full of this energy. We don't get energy, we release energy based on the energy that we're working with and choosing to stay in harmony with. And that's what that means. The acorn shows us so much, is that the acorn can't choose to be anything other than the oak tree. That's all that it vibrates with. So it attracts everything to it. Oak tree. And the oak tree is not in the acorn. The oak tree is not in the 3-foot radius outside of the acorn when the acorn goes down into the dirt. Whatever the acorn needs is being attracted, and it could be coming from miles away. It could be coming from the air. It could be coming from the soil. It could be coming from anywhere. But it's because of the vibration that the acorn holds that makes all those things come to it. And then the oak tree shows up in our life. We are no different than the acorn. That's why it's so important, is we understand that we're just energy vibrating too. We're matter. The acorn is matter. You break the matter down into molecules and then atoms, and then it's just energy. You realize it's just, there's a lot of empty space, and there's just some vibration happening there. That's what you are too. But our biggest gift is our biggest downfall is that we get to choose. The acorn can't choose, so it vibrates that way all the time. And it's proving to us, if you stay in that vibration, you'll do this. You'll make oak tree. Now, we getting to choose, we choose one thing and we hold it for a while, and then maybe the thing doesn't show up for, you know, the time we think it. So then we switch, or we're not clear about our goals. So we're always manifesting stuff, but it's in all different directions, and it never really comes to a physical form that we say, okay, you know, there it is, I did it. But it's only because we're not holding our focus and intention like the acorn. The acorn is just being all the time. And that's what you need to do with this goal. That's why we set this goal this way. It's the only thing that we think about. It's the only thing that we do, you know. That's us. That's who we are. Every time we think of ourselves, we're that person. That's what we do all the time. Now you're vibrating in harmony with that. You feel what it feels like to be that thing. So many things in nature we can learn from. We're starting to learn now that what do you call them, paleontologists, archaeologists, people is that, oh, look at, they depicted their history on the side of the cave, you know. And we're starting to learn now, and they're talking about, wait a minute, what if this wasn't history? What if these people actually knew that, you know, during hardship times, the most important thing for these people was food and survival and gathering? What if what if that was their goal card? Well, what is great times for us? Well, when successful hunts take place. So then they're putting their hieroglyphs up on the cave wall and becoming emotionalized by that. They're in love with those happy times. They're feeling what it's like to have it already. And they realized that that was the way for survival. Kind of an interesting twist on that, right? They were already using visualization. They were already using a goal card. It just happened to be the cave on the side of the wall. People spend all their life running from, avoiding, and trying to escape from a life they built, not knowing that they could have been building the life they wanted and running toward that instead. And it's just the truth. You're building your life. The way that it's showing up right now is because you are who you are, vibrating at a certain frequency. You can change that. So next week, we're stepping into the knowing doing gap, and we're going to discover what you already know how to do to achieve your goal. It's so cool is that you actually know how to do it, but what you know doesn't matter. It's what you do that matters. And we need to dive deep into what makes us do what we do. We do it out of habit. We do it because we feel a certain way. And we're going to take a deep dive into that. We're going to find all the reasons why we're not taking action in a way that we already know how to take action in order to achieve our goal. That is a worthy ideal. And that is the end of lesson 1 in our we're going through Mind, Move, Manifest M3, all 12 modules again together. Plug your goal in here, write your goal out, get to know it, and carry it with you through these modules. And you will be amazed at what life shows you. Open floor, brother.